What's going on, everyone? Welcome along to AFC Game by Game, and today I'm going to be bringing you another podcast feature. I did one of these prior to that Community Shield match where we beat Man City 3-0, and I got a really good response of everyone for that, and I really enjoyed making it as well. So I thought I'd do another one, and today I'm going to be doing it on my top 4 Premier League predictions. Now, obviously, we all know that going into this campaign, we're daunted with what is one of the most competitive seasons that could well be. Looking at some of the teams in there, the likes of ourselves, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, United, Liverpool, Everton, Tottenham, these are all teams that could potentially finish in the top 4. Now I'm going to start off going from 4th to 1st, and 4th is probably going to be the most controversial because the two teams that are so heavily tipped to get it are Liverpool and United. As well as that, you could also throw Everton into the mixer there. With their purchase of Romelu Lukaku, they're continuing to build and strengthen their squad as well. They've still got players to come back from injury. I'm certainly not ruling out Everton. Under Roberto Martinez, did a fantastic job last season getting them there. He established a really great unit within his team. He came very close to actually getting 4th, nearly beating Arsenal, but we did manage to get it comfortably. But certainly can't rule out Everton after the campaign they had last season. Looking at Tottenham, I don't know. Pochettino, I think he's a good manager. I don't think he's a particularly great manager. I can understand why Tottenham have got him. They've had that very slight victory over West Ham at the weekend, but it was a win nonetheless. I think they're going to come back into the frame of things, no doubt about that. I doubt they'll buy anyone this summer. It would be a bit ludicrous if they did, considering the amount of money they spent last summer on players such as Lamela, Capoue, blah, 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 blah. But you've got to remember, a lot of the acquisitions that they brought in last summer, a lot of them were bang average. And, I don't know, players like Chadley, do they really stand out to me as a decent player? They're very average players. Pochettino really has got a task on his hands there. For me, Tottenham aren't a threat this season. I think that they've got too little going for them in some of the most vital areas of the pitch, especially in midfield and in general attacking, in an attacking sense. And their defence, all round, they're not the best of teams. But I think Pochettino will sort things out there, and we will see an improvement on their side of things. Anyway, looking at 4th as a whole, very controversial, but I'm actually going to go for Liverpool in that 4th position. Looking at Manchester United on paper, they have got an appalling squad, and they are extremely top heavy. Look at the players they were having to play against Swansea the weekend, the likes of Lingard and Blackett. Who has heard of these players? They're not going to strike fear into even Swansea. They're not going to strike fear into that. Looking at that lineup, will Swansea be afraid of that team? No, they won't. And Louis van Gaal has got one hell of a challenge on his side, because the expectation from him, I mean, you're seeing Manchester United fans saying that they're going to be getting top. That is by no means going to happen for United. Their squad has got no depth to it whatsoever, and a lot of the players aren't of a great quality. The likes of Nani isn't good, Valencia, pretty average players in my opinion, and Van Gaal, I don't know how he can be expected to do so much in his first season. I've got a lot of respect for Van Gaal. I think he's a quality manager, did incredibly well with Holland at the World Cup. But there must have been something in place before he agreed to join United. He must have said to them, look, I'll agree to this contract, but don't expect me to win anything for 2 or 3 seasons because I've got to sort this team out. And it is going to take him a load of time to sort that team out. They need to reinforce in so many areas. Yeah, they can bring in Vidal and Di Maria, who would be quality players, but they've been linked with those for the whole summer. And has there been any progress? No, there hasn't. If they were to get them in, that would certainly transform their team. But where they need to strengthen, unquestionably, is in defence, because their back 4 or back 3 under Van Gaal is absolutely appalling. And I think it would be a monumental task and a monumental achievement for Van Gaal if he did get them in the top 4. Going to be incredibly difficult, but I'm not ruling them out because, of course, they're Man United. They've got a good manager. Things could potentially change after September the 2nd. So we'll see where they stand. My opinion on them could very well change in the coming weeks. But at the moment, as it stands, I think they'll finish 5th. My reasoning for Liverpool finishing 4th is I think Rodgers did very well with them last season. They've lost Suarez. No doubt that is a massive blow. It is a huge blow for Liverpool. He was their key man last season. And now Daniel Sturridge is going to have to fill his boots, which I think he potentially can. Liverpool have got another load of exceptional players around the team. The likes of Raheem Sterling, who is quality. They've still got Steven Gerrard, who could definitely do a job in midfield for them. And they're continuing to strengthen. They're bringing in the likes of Emre Can, Manquillo. They're sorting out their defensive issues, which were a big problem for them last season. Bringing in Lovren, who has been a quality asset for them. but I still think Suarez will remain a huge loss to them. And I think with the added Champions League football, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for them to actually maintain a proper, substantial title push. So I'm putting Liverpool in at fourth. In third, another very controversial one, Manchester City. Putting them in there because we haven't seen much activity from them in the transfer window this summer, and arguably, why did they need to strengthen? They've already got a fantastic squad at their disposal. They brought in Mangala and Fernando and Willy Caballero from Malaga. So, of course, they have brought in some quality acquisitions this summer, but are these league-winning players? Arguably, Mangala is, but I don't know. It's going to take time for these kind of players to settle in. City, it's very likely that they could still win the league again. I'm only putting them third because of my personal opinion. I think Pellegrini, he's a really odd manager in my opinion. He plays really good open attacking and attractive football, which I incredibly admire. But then again, he can't set his team up like Mourinho does. Arguably, Arsenal can't do that either because Wenger will do the exact same as Pellegrini and play open attacking football. But I think he's got a better tactical nous than Pellegrini. We saw them play Newcastle at the weekend, and you just saw their strength in depth there, bringing on Aguero off the bench to score. But it did take them time to break Newcastle down. I do think it's going to be difficult for them to maintain their title. I also think Pellegrini is going to be one of those managers that's actually going to prioritise the Champions League. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in at third. In second, I'm going to put Arsenal in there. I do think this is an awful lot dependent on if we get a defensive midfielder in. I think Arteta, he can do a job against teams like West Brom, etc. But when it comes to playing Chelsea or City away, that's when I'm going to be majorly concerned. We do need to get a player like Sami Khedira in who will let players like Ramsey, Wilshere, Ozil bomb forward without having to worry about them doing the defensive stuff. Khedira would be ideal in my opinion. Someone made an excellent tweet yesterday regarding the Chelsea game, and it says, Fabregas looks up, sees Diego Costa in front of him, looks back, sees Matic. And then you got Ozil who looks up, looks in front of him, sees Sanogo, looks back, sees Arteta. And this kind of personified things for me because we have brought in quality players this summer. No doubts about that whatsoever. But we need to be bringing in players in these last remaining weeks of the transfer window in the positions where we actually desperately need players. Centre defensive midfielder, unquestionably need a player there. Striker, we do need someone in there. I don't know if a lot of people are saying we should get Cavani. In my opinion, he's one of the most overrated players in the world. I do admire him, but he's not someone that I'd personally be too interested in. And we'd have to pay over 51 million for him if we were to acquire his services. And you've got to remember, he is about 27 years old, so how many seasons would he last us? And that wouldn't be a smart investment, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind seeing us bring in someone like Wilfried Bony, or like Remy, just someone to offer an alternative to Olivier Giroud. Sanogo, I don't know how much confidence I can put in the bloke. He is one of the clumsiest players I've ever seen at Arsenal in a good long time. I don't know if he's going to cut it, but he is young, so I'm going to give him time, and he has been crucial for us in games such as the FA Cup final, where he really has transformed the game. Giroud, I think it's going to be a big season for him. I can see him getting a load of goals, and undoubtedly, he is one of our most important players, but he's got to be converting chances which he missed last season, because at times it feels like he's missing more chances than he's putting away, and that's where he's got to improve. But yeah, like I said, I think this is all dependent on whether we get a defensive midfielder in. At the moment, realistically, I might say we finish third, but I'm very confident we're going to get a defensive midfielder in. And for that reason, I'm going to put Arsenal in at second. And first, obvious choice, it has to be Chelsea, simply because of their investment under Jose Mourinho. They have to win the league. If they don't, it's going to be incredibly embarrassing for them after spending so much on the likes of Costa, Fabregas and Felipe Luis. They simply have to win the league. No doubts about it. I think Mourinho has been very clever in what he's done. He sold the likes of David Luiz and Juan Mata for a grand total of about 90 million, which is excellent business by him. He's brought in players where he actually needed them. He's promoted the likes of Oscar, who's taken Mata's role. Brought in Fabregas, who's playing that kind of box-to-box midfield role alongside Matic. And my reason for Chelsea winning the league is because they are so well equipped in every single area of the pitch. Similarly to Man City, their strength in depth is absolutely ridiculous. And looking at their starting lineup from yesterday, They are just so well equipped in every single area. Like I said, Matic, the player who's going to do the dirty work. Alongside him, you've got Fabregas, who's allowed to bomb forward, do the creative stuff that he does so well. On the right-hand side, you've got Schürrle. On the left-hand side, you've got Hazard, two quality wingers there. Through the middle, Oscar, and up top, Diego Costa. And they have got an extremely good calibre of player in each and every position, with another really good player to cover them on the bench, with the likes of Willian, Mikel, etc. Their squad is absolutely sublime, and I doubt they'll do any more business in the transfer window. I think they might bring in another defender after they did lose David Luiz, but I think I would be very, very surprised if they didn't win the league, and beating them is going to be one hell of a task. But when you've got the kind of resources that Chelsea have, the expectation is to win the league. I think they'll also make a really good push for the Champions League, but they are going to be one hell of a force to be reckoned with, and I'm pretty certain that they're going to win the league. Like I said, if they don't, it's going to be an embarrassment for them and for Mourinho. But I'm pretty sure they'll do it. But it'd be great if Arsenal could do it. Just focusing on Arsenal for a second, judging what would be a successful season for us, I think if we were able to actually achieve a top 3 finish at least, make a good Champions League push. This is with the current squad that is. Let's say we don't sign a defensive midfielder. If we were able to finish in the top 3, have a good Champions League run, maybe maintain our FA Cup victory, I would class that as a good season. I'd like to see us get to maybe the semi-finals of the Champions League, at least maybe get 3rd in the Premiership. It would be absolutely... But of course, I am much more ambitious than that. I do want Arsenal to succeed, and I would love us to win the Premier League. But I do think, realistically, we are about 2 players short now. We need to bring in a centre-back and a DM, and maybe like some people say, a world-class striker. But at the moment, I don't think that's a priority. I think Giroud's going to have a decent season for us. And that's not where all our goals from. Our goals come from players like Ramsey, Sanchez, Walcott, wingers and midfielders. That's where we get our goals. That's kind of always where we've got our goals, apart from maybe back in the Henry days. And arguably we haven't had a proper striker in since him, apart from maybe Van Persie. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the top 4 predictions for this season. Leave your thoughts on who's going to finish in the top 4 in the comments box below. I'd really appreciate if you could give a like on this video, because it does take me a little longer to put these together. I'm gaining in on 1,300 subscribers now, so if you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be great as well. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys.